justice.
Should you be able to use AI to generate campaign ads and have your opponents say things they never did? Idaho lawmakers voted on the concept that will play a role in their elections. 1 in 5 American young adults believe that the Holocaust is a myth. It's stats like that that pushes Idaho lawmakers to make sure that the youth of the Gem State know history so that we never repeat it. USS Idaho will soon hit the open waters, but did you know the new military submarine is the 5th to carry the name Idaho? We're hearing from a crew member's family who worked on the 4th. They hit the ground running at the Idaho State House on a Monday. Lawmakers, they want to wrap up the session 1 week from Friday. We'll see if that happens. But part of the push to end things, lawmakers need to go home so they can campaign ahead of the May primary. Maybe it would just be easier if they could have AI create their campaign ads right from the tip of their fingertips. Well, that was actually a debate today in the Idaho Senate. House Bill 664 says that any candidate who has their speech or likeness deceptively portrayed through AI-generated synthetic media and campaign ads or other electioneering communications, well, they could seek injunctive relief and damages in court. Basically, if someone uses AI, they could get it taken down in situations. So the legislation looks specifically at content that provides a fundamentally different understanding of an event or speech than what happened in the original unedited version. The exception is an affirmative defense. It says that if a creator says that this video or audio that you're watching or listening to has been manipulated, if that's done in a clear manner, then video or audio content is fair game. One lawmaker, though, who voted against the bill, they questioned why the legislature should draw the line at AI when it comes to false or edited statements.
The issue I have with this bill is we're going after something that I have no knowledge of being used here in Idaho, while at the same time we have very real lies being spread, and many of you are aware, by PACs and large organizations are allowed to put out more information that, in my mind, is worse than this AI, and we allow that to fly. So with that, I'm a no.
So supporters of the bill say that AI, artificial intelligence technology, well, using it to create deepfakes, it's not complicated anymore. And it's gotten to the point where almost anybody can access it.
This technology has now advanced to the point where it is cheap, simple to create, and convincing. It can be created for just a few dollars and in just a few minutes.
So the proposed legislation will now find the governor's desk after passing the full Senate. It's interesting, if the governor does sign it and this does become law, there's an emergency clause in the legislation that would put it in place right away. So this could come into play for the 2024 primary in May. We'll keep an eye on it. Another topic tackled today, education, specifically teaching about the Holocaust. House Concurrent Resolution 25, it encourages the Idaho State Department of Education to adopt age-appropriate Holocaust education in social studies classes and also develop resources and guidance for educators to help them in teaching about the Holocaust. Senate sponsor, Senator Janie Ward-Engelking, explained why this message is so necessary.
Awareness of the Holocaust is being lost as our survivors are passing away, and I think it's important to know that 1 in 5 Americans under 30 believe the Holocaust is a myth. That's shocking.
1 in 5, 20%. We heard lawmakers support the resolution and share their own stories about learning from the Holocaust from the people who were there or involved in it. The curriculum of the future on the Holocaust will need to survive and evolve as modern history unfolds. Lawmakers wanted to send a strong message to Idahoans.
I think it's important that we realize that everyone has value and how important tolerance is. And so as we see a rise in Holocaust deniers, I'm happy to bring this resolution, and I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
And that resolution, which already passed the Idaho House, it passed unanimously in the Senate. And to be clear, Idaho schools do teach about the Holocaust. And right now, the standards that address that are primarily in world history between 6th and 9th grade, being part of global conflict. They also use it in U.S. history, too, in grades 9 through 12. It's a connection between the rise in fascism and the involvement of the United States in World War II. Well, we watch the 100-some members of the legislature do their jobs almost every day here on the 208. We see mistakes like at any other place of work, but have you ever wondered what happens if you vote wrong and you want to change? You can ask, but in the Idaho House, it's a big ask, and we saw that again play out earlier today.
I incorrectly selected the wrong vote on this one, and it's just a simple correction, that's all. Thank you. I appreciate the good body's support.
Any gentlemen for debate on the motion? Gentleman 13.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hate to debate against this, but we have made a decision. In fact, we had to go at ease and brought both leadership teams together to decide how we were going to handle this issue. And the decision was, moving forward, we weren't going to allow people to change their votes. You cast your vote, you pay attention to what's going on, and you go home and you own that vote. And so for those reasons, Mr. Speaker and members of the body, I ask that we stand by the previous decisions that this body has made.
I would contest whether both leadership teams were brought in. I have absolutely no recollection of having been consulted. My understanding was that this occurred in a Republican caucus meeting or something in which Democrats certainly had no part.
Mr. Speaker, good gentleman, I'm just curious, when I brought up the same issue where it did not change the outcome, how did you vote?
I think we need to be careful about how, gentleman 16.
I believe I voted consistently with how I did before. Good lady.
That answered nothing. I'm asking if he voted yay to allow me to change my vote or nay not to allow me to change my vote.
Good lady and good gentleman, I think we're starting to get personal here, and I'd prefer we not get there.
So there you go. It's high stakes in the Idaho House. So maybe some things to remember. There's no crying in baseball, and there's no redos at the Idaho legislature. Some other notable things at the State House today. Senate Bill 1352, still alive. That is the legislation that wants to give counselors and therapists in Idaho the right to refuse service based on deeply held religious beliefs. Those in opposition say at best the bill goes against the industry code for ethics, and at worst it could legalize discrimination. However, bill supporters argued that counselors are forced to agree with morally imperfect people. Today, the bill passed the House floor with little debate and is now headed to the Senate. And it looks like telehealth in schools isn't going to happen this year. The legislation, House Bill 684, it would have allowed Idaho public schools, allowed, not forced, to access counseling or therapy via telehealth on school grounds for their students during a school day. Students and their parents would select a mental health professional that would provide the services through telehealth. But lawmakers and providers say that the option that would help school counselors with workload, open care to more students and kids in need, as well as take on the mental health crisis as a community. But critics worry that the concept further distracts from academic goals at the school. And we talked about this at length. Legislation was in the Senate Education Committee this afternoon, but the committee, they actually tabled the conversation and the legislation. There were some drafting concerns about the specific wording of the bill, and Senator Scott Herndon made the comment that it is getting pretty late in the session for there to be fixing major issues. So probably done for the year, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. All right, from traffic closures on the highway to tree fort traffic in the city of Trees, Morgan Romero's got some tips for travel in today's 411.
Rafael Antonio Garcia Lopez is in jail after a SWAT standoff in Caldwell just before midnight last night. Caldwell's SWAT team was carrying out an arrest warrant at a home on Northup Way. Officers say they used de-escalation tactics, including chemical munitions and negotiations. After several hours, officers say Garcia Lopez was taken into custody. He's charged with domestic battery with traumatic injury and intimidating a witness. Heads up, the Karcher Interchange project closure starts tonight. The I-84 eastbound off-ramp will be closed from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. tonight and tomorrow. Additional lane closures will happen from the 20th through the 22nd. So drive carefully and expect shifting traffic. Speaking of traffic, Treefort Music Festival is this Wednesday through Sunday across downtown Boise. There are several forts and more than 450 artists performing. This year's main stage is at Julia Davis Park. To beat the traffic, try riding your bike, walking, or taking the Valley Regional Transit Tree Line. The free bus shuttle runs every 10 to 15 minutes, connecting the main stage in Julia Davis to 5 stops downtown. Plus, some buses will have free live musical performances. Treeline runs 6 to 11 p.m. Wednesday through Friday, and then again from 2 to 11 p.m. on Saturday. There's no service Sunday. Anyone with a Treefort wristband can ride any VRT bus route for free Wednesday through Saturday. And that's your 411 on the 208. I'm Morgan Romero.
Back on the East Coast, the newly christened USS Idaho awaits the open waters of the Atlantic. After the break, we have a special story about the previous USS Idaho and the crew that powered it along. And we are shaking up the cobwebs of the weekend here on Monday. Let us know how we're doing. Comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, anything. Send us a text message. You know the number, 208-321-5614. Please include your name and hashtag the 208. We'll respond to some of your questions and show everything live at the end of the show. Last week, we brought you to Connecticut for the christening of the USS Idaho, the first U.S. Navy christening of an Idaho in more than 100 years. The new boat is a Virginia-class submarine, so in short, it's a warship. They're built to take out enemy ships, collect intelligence, and support special operations. It'll hold a 132-person crew, but today, we're focused on the people of the past, the USS Idaho crew from the 1940s. Andrew Bartline shows us they were front and center for one of the biggest moments in world history.
In an oversized Atlantic coast warehouse,
of building submarines like we have never built before.
Nationwide crowds on deck for a celebration.
Idaho's contribution to national security.
More than half of the commissioned Navy fleet owes them one word: nuclear.
Gives us an unfair advantage against every potential adversary.
And the latest crew,
the gem of the fleet,
will pilot the designation, long overdue.
So if I could get a big round of applause for that team.
For nearly 80 years, the name's been dormant.
It's high time we give honor and again christen another USS Idaho.
A name that could never be lost.
With his buddies.
That's the truth.
He's
in a scrapbook.
Here and here.
Saved through Eileen.
Yeah.
Her husband, Al Werdzek, served on the previous USS Idaho in World War II. Al was one of 4 living crew members invited to the new ship's christening.
It would have been really great if he could have made it. So.
Al's son, Chris, says he died nearly 3 years ago, a hero.
He was, but he never thought he was.
Humble strength always has a source.
Can't get away from Idaho.
It's where Al's parents met and married. It's where Al trained after enlisting. It's the boat where Al served.
They kept track of their kills, their submarines.
Well worn from battle.
This is the one time that it did get damaged enough to have to go get repaired.
But never once was she sunk.
The Japanese claimed to have sank her 3 times or more. They'd get patched up, and they were right back in the fight.
A full embodiment of the name, down to the final second of World War II.
When the surrender happened with Japan, they had the surrender signing on the Missouri battleship, and they brought the Idaho in and parked it right next to the Missouri kind of as I thought you said you sank the Idaho. It's right there.
A piece of history Chris pulled from the scrapbook for himself.
This is to certify that Al Wurtzek was aboard the USS Idaho in Sagami湾and Tokyo Bay during the initial phase of the occupation of Japan and the signing of the terms of the Japanese surrender. And it's signed by the captain and first officer.
Big shoes to fill.
Pretty cool.
It's a task now left up to the next Idaho crew, and they know it.
The BB-42, the battleship?
Even to sailor Robert Bossian.
Oh yeah, it came with a bunch of surprises.
Proudly from the Panhandle.
I like being part of the Idaho, the state, and being part of the crew. Makes me feel a little bit more prideful that I know what the namesake means. I know how to carry myself as an Idahoan and bring that to the boat and share Idaho with the rest of the crew.
It's history that doesn't fade.
Once again, USS Idaho.
And protected by former Governor Dirk Kempthorne.
The seamless connection between crew and citizens is amazing.
Kempthorne shows them what's left of the last USS Idaho, what can still be seen, felt, touched.
This is one of the spots they visited in June of 23. The Veterans Memorial Cemetery.
They went and visited your husband's.
They did. Isn't that amazing?
These sailors had never met Al or his family.
I'm just honored to be part of it.
Even down to the smallest details, there's Idaho. Yeah! Loud and proud.
And it just brought all those, all those feelings back. Yeah.
A lifetime later, the Wurtzeks know they can't shake it.
No, it keeps coming back.
And may she endure forever. Esto Perpetua.
The USS Idaho is still due a full year of sea trials and then officially the commissioning ceremony. And at that point, the submarine will join the U.S. Navy fleet. So step 3 of 5 down, some really cool connections. And his son also lives in Idaho now, too.
Oh, of course. There's always an Idaho connection.
There's so many. They can't get away from it.
Well, it seems like a really unique experience that you and our photojournalist Kevin Esslinger were able to be a part of this weekend. And obviously, they don't do these very often.
Yeah, and there's actually a piece of it that adds to how interesting or unique, I should say. So earlier in the week, we brought the story of that tribal blessing as well. So when that happened, a representative, or representatives, I should say, from the Shoshone, Bannock, and Nez Perce tribes, they flew out to Connecticut as well to give their blessings to the boat. And if you think that sounds unique, you would absolutely be right. General Dynamic Electric Boat is the private company contracted with the U.S. Navy to build these boats. The christening is a big piece of that partnership too, but the tribal blessing, that's not in the traditional script. Leaders from Idaho tribes flew to Connecticut and to share their cultural songs, wisdom, even a peace pipe with the crew. You can see it right there. And each of those moments had deep, often religious meanings, but it nearly did not happen. In our interview with former Governor Dirk Kempthorne, he actually pulled back the curtain a little bit.
There initially was reluctance, if not pushback, by Electric Boat to let us bring the Native American tribes for the blessing. But we were tenacious. That's Idaho. We keep pushing. And so finally they said, yes, you can do this. Last night at a banquet put on by Electric Boat, they came up and said, that's never happened before on this shipyard, and that is probably one of the most meaningful things we have ever experienced. And they said, we had shipyard workers that handled the steel, big fellas that had tears in their eyes based on what was happening.
Multiple people at Electric Boat, they corroborated that with me as well. Electric Boat has never had any such blessing of their boats going to the U.S. Navy. And what you see here is a blessing offered to the crew as well. Kempthorne says he pushed for this because the boat is going to represent all of Idaho. So it should represent all of Idaho. We have a full story on this blessing and word from a Nez Perce tribal leader on our website at ktvb.com. And it is powerful, Joe, even from a historical standpoint. I'm not sure if you know this. I learned it from that Nez Perce leader. They actually had a battle with the United States at Whitebird. Now they're in Connecticut supporting that same government they had once fought. Wow.
time changes everything. I really appreciate what Governor Kempthorne said, too, where if this is going to represent Idaho, it needs to represent all of Idaho. And, of course, before Idaho was Idaho, the tribes were here.
Yeah, and that theme of Idaho just not going away, being tenacious, not leaving, same thing there. He wouldn't give up and got their way, and it seemed he proved them wrong.
Well, enjoyed seeing yours and Kevin's work from Connecticut over the weekend into today. So appreciate that, Andrew. 208, we'll be right back after this.
I am glad I could join you on such a beautiful afternoon. Okay, so we have sunshine, temperatures have warmed up. There have been several so far, and we've got at least another 2 or 3 just like this that happens to be coming our way. So here's the height today. We've had 68 so far, still trying to work toward that 70, but it's way above normal. As you see, of 56 degrees, the low 39, which is closer to the normal low with some of those chilly mornings. So these are the highs possibly in your area. As you can see, mountain locations are in the 50s. Down here in the valley, temperatures are in the 60s to 65 degrees for Twin Falls. Winds are calm. Wanted to show you that. And to show you what day is nice looking satellite looks like on a nice day. That's clear conditions. They can see clear through the entire area. So moving ahead, here are the next 10 days. And you notice what I said about the next 2 to 3 days. You can see it up here through Thursday. Friday, this could change a little bit. Temperature could come down, but still, at this point, it looks like Friday temperatures will be in the 60s, but storminess starts to come into the picture. So getting into Saturday and Sunday, you see how the temperatures start to drop. They're not bad, but they're right around normal or a little below normal, as you saw a while ago, with temperatures basically into the mid-50s. So here's your 7-day forecast. As far as days like today, tomorrow and Wednesday are fantastic. Thursday starts a little bit of a change, which is going to be very noticeable on Friday, and then you can see the big changes moving into the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, some gusty winds, even a chance of some showers Saturday afternoon, even a thunderstorm.
All right, let's finish this Monday with some of your comments. This person says, with this bill, if a therapist finds cheating on a spouse morally repugnant, can they refuse to treat you? Or is it just gay people the legislature is targeting as usual? Sheila, I believe that it's not specifically targeted at one group of people, but I am very interested to see if this becomes a law, how exactly it'll play out. So a good question there. This person says, on the AI bill, it's simple. The legislature doesn't like competing for spreading deepfake misleading ads and info. That's from Dan in Boise. Dan, I appreciate the comment on a Monday. This person says, really, 20% of those folks think that the Holocaust is fake. It's probably the same folks that think the moon landing was fake. So sad that fake news and conspiracy theories can influence so many people. So sad. That's from Mike. Mike, I agree with you. The conspiracy theory stuff it's concerning. It's very concerning. This person asked, why didn't Governor Little go to the christening? Marty, Governor Little actually was able to make it to the christening. He was there with a handful of Idaho officials. He just didn't show up in the story today. And this person says, what's the difference between a ship and a boat? Okay, a large oceanfront warcraft is mostly called a ship. Otherwise, a boat is just something that goes in the water. We can talk about it more another time.